Hey guys, how's it going today? Hope everyone's doing really good. Today, I'm going to tackle this little project. This is a little Vox Night Train tube amp, okay? It's 15 watts and it has an 8 ohm output speaker out and a 16 ohm speaker out. Now, this is an old solid state amp, and the amplifier section went kaput. So that's out of there, and all that's left is the two 12s. There's two 12-inch Jensens in there, actually, and they're wired to two jacks. So you can just take a cable and go from the amp to the jack, and there's one for each speaker, okay? So this has 8 ohm output and a 16 ohm output, and these are both 8 ohm speakers. So how do you do it? Well, we are about to crack the code on that once and for all, guys. You won't ever have to guess again about how to do this. So the first tip I'm going to lay on you is this. Don't ever turn your head or your tube amp on unless it's connected to a speaker. And it needs to be connected to the right ohms. That needs to match, okay? If you don't, it could burn your amp up, seriously. They print it right on the backs of some of these. I think that actually says it on the back of this amp. Do not turn this amplifier on without having a speaker connected. Okay, so that's tip number one. And there's a few different ways that I could wire this too. So I'm just kind of spitballing some ideas. But I'm going to show you guys the difference between series and parallel with two speakers, okay? If it's one speaker, whatever the ohms are on that speaker, that is what it's going to put for a load on your amplifier, because all these measured in ohms, all these speakers, and all that is, it's just the amount of resistance it takes to get the current through, okay? So if it's not matched right, the current can be off coming from the amplifier, and that can be detrimental to your speakers and your amplifier. So let's get right into it. I got a rough sketch here on both, and I'm going to explain how this works once and for all, okay? So bear with me. I'm not a great artist, but we're going to do our best here. Okay. Let me see if I can get this zoomed in. Yeah, it's okay. Bear with me, guys. Okay. So, I can't get my camera quite there. All right, we're going to start with this series. Again, I apologize for this shakiness and everything. So in series, okay, you're going to start with your amplifier, and you have a positive and a negative, okay? Let's say these are your speakers right here, okay? So those each have a positive and a negative, all right? So if it's in series, you come from the amplifier, the positive goes to the first speaker, and that's positive. Then you come from the negative of the first speaker and go to the positive of the second speaker, okay? Then you come out of the second speaker negative side and run it back to the amp. So that's series. Now let's say this speaker's 4 ohms and this one is 8 ohms over here, okay? So the total impedance of that in series would be 12 ohms of resistance or impedance, okay? So that's the first diagram is series. So that shows you how they're wired and how you chain from one speaker to the next, and parallel's a little different. So we're going to look at that now. So in parallel, okay, in parallel, we're going to come from our amplifier, and we're going to go to the first speaker. We're going to just go positive to positive, and then positive to the positive of the second speaker, and then the negatives just daisy chain that way. That's parallel. Okay, so now if these are both 8 ohm speakers, okay, you don't add these together when we're talking about parallel. That is just considered 8 ohms of resistance, not 16, but 8. So to find out what the impedance is in this parallel circuit, what you got to do is this would be considered 8 ohms, like I said, and you divide that by the number of speakers. I got a little thing right here. So you take the impedance of both speakers and then you divide it by the number of speakers, and that gives you a total impedance of 4 ohms, okay? And that's how this works. It's pretty simple. So again, there's options on how you want to wire these speakers if you have 2 speakers in a cabinet, There's a few different ways to go about it, and I just wanted to pass this along so you guys know how to calculate this stuff, and, hopefully it saves you from blowing stuff up. And as long as you match this stuff, you should be in good shape. If these numbers are different on this too, then it's going to be a different formula. Like if this was 4 and this was 8, you'd end up with like 2.7 ohms or impedance. So it's just a little different figure, but we usually run into this scenario. 8 ohms usually is what guitar players and what these loudspeakers usually are. So I figured this would be just a generalized thing anyway, and at least show you guys how it works and solve any guesses or questions you might have. I just don't want to see anybody ruin their gear because they don't really know how to go about it. And, just that first tip I gave you about turning your amp on, not hooked to a speaker, that usually doesn't end well. So I want to pass that along too. So this will be a fun little project here. I'm going to set this up for my friend, like I said, and it's got 2 12-inch Jensens in it. And right now they're both wired to one jack for each speaker. And this only has the single out. So what I'm going to probably do is, we'll see. I might wire it up, in series possibly, and just because it does have a 16 ohm output, which would be fine. As long as you get these numbers calculated and matched up and wired correctly, you shouldn't have any problems. So this will make a fun little project. Like I said, that 15 watt tube head will definitely drive them speakers nice. And, it'll be a nice little setup for them because the amp section's gone in the combo amp that has the speakers, so it's really light. Basically, you just have the cabinet and the speakers. Pretty portable, so that'll make him a good setup. And we'll see. I might even make a delete plate or something where the holes are. Or I might just leave it. I don't know. We'll see. Not a big deal. Well, anyway, guys, I hope this helps. If you have any questions, if I can help you out, I will. Be careful, as always, this stuff's got some high voltage. Don't be poking around inside your tube amps without a wooden stick or something. Put one hand in your pocket. Don't ever touch both hands on it either. Even when it's unplugged, they can be lethal. So take good care, guys. I wish you well in your amp and cabinet searches. Like I said, it's not that tough. Just hang in there, watch that video, write that formula down yourself if that's what it takes, and you'll always have it, Once you get it, it's not a big deal, and you shouldn't have any problems, like I said, and that'll keep you from, obliterating your amp and putting more load on it than there should be, and you don't want it to work you know, any harder than it has to. So good luck, guys. Thanks for watching. We'll see you real soon. Be good.